and gloom, endless hunger, death consumed. Greetings and welcome back to the Tournament of the Living Dead. I am Flesh Wound Dan, joined by producer Todd.
Good evening.
That guy, Pugs Dread.
Namaste.
And oh, you actually said hi. Hi. Pugs.
Eat shit, Dan. And Mr. Chris, what's up?
What's going on, guys?
Zombie expert, spooky picture show, Mr. Chris McGibbon. See, we're doing it better than Dan.
Okay, I could run down everything. Fangoria, published author as well. There you go. There we go. We'll butter up Chris. That way, hopefully, he'll flip for me later on. It will make it.
Now he's just, hey, I don't know where we're going with this. This is a different. All right.
On that note, I'm out.
No one wants to flip you, Dan.
Why
bird.
is everything sexual? I mean, flip a vote, Todd.
What are you talking about?
Is
Dan,
flip
what-
a sex thing?
okay.
I don't know.
Pugs.
Everything's
What's
sexual.
up?
I don't know.
Tell
Find
Pugs.
him.
Yeah, let me tell you what we're about to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Please, Pugs, please tell us.
Please.
What we do for our tournaments is rate and review a film, and then at the end of the episode, we'll add that movie to a list compiled from our previous episodes. And then we will vote to eliminate one of those films off the list, leaving us with our 3 zombie films, aka our 3 survivors. Then those 3 final survivors will go up against a new zombie film every episode until we reach day 13. And when we get to that point, we will pick one of the 3 survivors as our Tournament of the Living Dead champion. So now that that's out of the way, Todd, tell us our previous eliminations and whatever the hell else is on the menu.
Thank you, Pugs. Eliminated thus far: Primodos, Fallen Angel, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, Dead Girl, Nightmare City, Biozombie, World War Z, 13 Erie, and our survivors are Lucio Fulci Zombie, Return of the Living Dead, and the Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. Entering the tournament tonight, Dance of the Dead. Dan, why don't you tell us about it?
All right. So from 2008 and director Greg Bishop, we have Dance of the Dead, not to be confused with the Masters of Horror episode, which I know a lot of people do. In this film, with prom only hours away, the usual suspects of Cosa High, cheerleaders, geeks, bad boys, and the happy-go-lucky student council alike, are preoccupied with the annual rituals of teendom. On the night of the big dance, when the dead unexpectedly rise to eat the living, polar opposite groups will be forced to unite in their final chance to save the town from the zombies. All right, so just some brief history on this one. Director Greg Bishop, if you're unfamiliar, he directed the VHS viral segment Dante the Great, which starred trying to remember his name off the top of my head, but Kyle, the actor that played Kyle in this one, played Dante in that segment. He also directed Siren, which was the spin-off movie, of course, from VHS. And Justin Wellborn, sorry, struggled on the name.
It's a real tough one.
Yeah, well, no, he was also in The Signal. Great actor.
Could have just researched it before you did this. I mean,
I had it written down. Even I botch sometimes. But this was
Even Dan watches.
once in a while. It's rare, but
My
it does
edits
happen.
would show a lot more.
It's rare, but it happens. So this was shot in Rome, Georgia, in an abandoned middle school that they were very lucky to get. A lot of locals also in this movie, and
Is that what we saw for A Good Time Called the Hat Man in the bathroom?
What? Fuck you, Todd. Anyways, well, no, I'm just going to talk about it now. Go fuck yourself. So this movie, I think, is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the coach, although I think a certain flag that pops up hasn't aged very well in his scene. There's a little bit of that in here, but this one, zombie comedy, kind of I think it's a good one to kind of pair up with Anna and the Apocalypse sort of thing.
Yeah, so you got a good one to watch with it.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. That one's better, but I do like this one quite a bit. I think that a lot of the zombie bits, a lot of the gore, I thought very creative. The zombie makeout scene where they just start eating each other, I thought that was cool. It's kind of got its like John Hughes if he directed a B zombie movie.
No,
Kind of is
it's
how I
not
would
John
pitch this.
Hughes.
It's exactly John Hughes. It just was missing Molly Ringwald. They should have paid to get her in this one, but I like it. I think this one's a lot of fun. Again, B movie. I'm not trying to oversell it, but I had a good time.
2008, back when Dan could still have fun.
And you're gonna shit on the fucking movie. So maybe.
Well, I didn't
Todd's
watch it in
lost his sense of
2008.
fun. Oh yeah, that's true. You weren't
I wa-
in the watching everything
Yeah.
mode back then.
Well, no, I
guess.
might have. I could have just been hammered. Who knows? But the point
Another
is,
one I'm surprised to hear you negative on, though. This seems like one you would have a good time with.
it was all right. I don't think it's anything spectacular. I think the end was cool. I don't know. I think it just didn't really click for me, and I don't know if it is because I should have watched it 15 years ago, and it was a little.
We get
bit
a zombie frog in this one, Todd. That was cool.
That doesn't sell everybody.
Yeah, we also had a
There's other
zombie
Chris-
half dog in '84. So what does it matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's a good. If you're doing a double feature, you could pair it with a lot of better movies like Return of the Living Dead, Pugs. It's a good start for a double feature.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it. I thought the characters were very likable. And yeah, I don't know. But all right, I'm surprised to see you negative. So Pugs.
I'm you liked it. There's too many young kids there, like younger people that usually shit on
They
them.
weren't annoying back in 2008.
No, they were, but they were
Incorrect.
no. But the problem is Dan was annoying though, so it makes sense.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, unlike Dan, I actually like these guys and hang out with the crowd. Even though I hang out with here, but it's, it's for a job. No,
Damn.
I do like this movie. I think it's fun.
Oh,
I
good.
do like teen high school bullshit. That shit's up my alley, especially if they're in danger. By all means, fuck these guys up. The swerve at the band, that was fucking hilarious. I was expecting them to go super hard and trick or treat style. They do fucking lounge music. That's great. The zombie makeout in the bathroom, very cool. And I was rooting for that guy. He did end up getting the girl anyway. So bravo. If you want to look at the bright side.
Some good music too. The Andrew WK cover. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's any fans of him, but I love Andrew.
He's all right. That explains a lot, actually. This movie, it's fun. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. But I'm gonna champion this. This is a good time. I enjoyed it.
better than 13 Eerie, I'll give it that.
Okay,
I had
let's
more
start.
fun.
Mr. Chris, what say you?
So I'm really glad you like this one too, because I hate just siding with Dan. I just feel like it's like
It's gross, right?
It's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like.
it's
All
almost,
makes sense in the universe again.
He makes me change reviews midway, and maybe
Yeah.
Dan influenced mine.
yeah, a little bit. Because honestly, I do agree with that. I feel like that this encapsulates everything that John Hughes movies did with the teen
Thank
angst
you.
bullshit and the characters all kind of coming together, realizing that they're not so different after all, and they can come together and fight this threat and they can survive it. I mean, you've got the kid who's essentially bullying everybody. I mean, he's in the principal's office and the lead sees him, Jimmy sees him, and he just makes that noise and headbutts the fucking kid, and then he dies for them later in the movie. And it's like, you actually have characters in this movie that kind of have an arc, and also there's a lot of heart behind this film. You care about these characters, you like them, they're easy to root for. Like, even there's no one in this film that you're like, oh my god, that person is just a walking pile of trash, they need to die right now. That doesn't really happen here, and there's a lot of fun with it. And I love zombie movies. For me, get points for having a really cool coming out of the ground segment, and this one has an awesome one where they're literally bursting from their coffins and chasing after the crowd. And I did love, I don't want to put the flying pugs as lemon, but I did love when they're in the cemetery and one of the zombies is breaking through the window and you hear it say brains. And I was like, oh, okay, there we go. We know what kind, because I always kind of thought that if this was made as Return of the Living Dead 4, it would have worked. Like I would have had to tweak a couple
It's
of
no grave for the graves.
This would have worked as an entry in that series if they.
I think people would be
I'd be
talking
on
about
board.
it still if it had the Return of the Living
I
Dead
think
name.
because it was Dance of the Dead and it came out on the Ghost House Underground thing. It was great for the time because you got to see probably a lot of other horror movies that may have been buried, may have never gone to theaters, but it also was a detriment because a lot of people saw that bear and went, "Oh, this is just cheap crap that nobody else wanted to touch." And that, unfortunately, because After Dark had that where it was like the 8 films to die for, and of the 8, 2 were great, and the other 6 were either passable or terrible. They were very forgettable for the most part. And I think Ghost House came into the game a little bit later, and their line didn't last too long. And this was the first batch of 8 films, and I think people just mirrored it with that 8 films to die for. So they sort of just let it slip through the cracks. Like this and something like Husk, which I thought were really great little horror movies, just sort of faded away over time because they were part of that moniker and they weren't just released as their own thing. I actually know the guy who made this movie. I managed to connect with him back when we reviewed it, because when we did review it on Creep Show, it got a very positive response from everybody, and he was very grateful and appreciative. And I asked him fairly recently, like, "Hey, what's going on with this movie? Is there going to be a Blu-ray or something? Because it kind of just got crapped on DVD back in the day, and I'd love to see a Blu-ray." And he still talks to everybody from it. And he's like, "Yeah, all these people, we can get them back together. I don't know what's going on, but if they want to do something, we'll come back and we'll talk about it."
Reunion of the Dead. Come on.
Right? Yeah. It's 15 years old or 16 years old now. So I mean, it's getting up there. But it's this is a fun little zombie movie. I mean, it's got some stupid, silly parts, but I mean, every zombie comedy it's either gonna hit or miss. And this one, I think, for the most part, hits pretty hard. I mean, it works when it works, and when it doesn't completely fail. It just kind of like, okay, that could have landed a little better, but overall, I like it a lot, and I do. I think it's like The Breakfast Club meets Return of the Living Dead. Sorry, Pugs, but that's
Don't you forget
I do want to say the one thing. I totally lost my train of thought now too. You mentioned the Blu-ray, Chris, or I mentioned a Blu-ray, and I did want to throw out, and this probably didn't help my viewing experience. The transfer that's out now on digital is horrible. It like shudders as it plays, which did not make for the best streaming experience. So, and I had put the DVD away, so I couldn't find it. So I was like, damn. I even checked Tubi after Prime, and it still has the same annoying, like, almost like it's not interlaced properly because it's choppy during movement. So, and this was my first watch, so that didn't help my experience. So
I think this is one, if a big boutique label puts it out, you'll see some fans kind of come out of the woodwork. I saw that back then and I really liked it. I totally agree. If it had Return of the Living Dead aside for as the title, I think we would have people right now just saying like, wow, that was really underrated. Maybe I even preferred it over 2 or even 3
or 1.
But well, yes, there would be that solo person.
Well, I'm sure that is going to be Pugs, as the voting will soon show.
Right.
I'm glad you had fun with this one. I'm sorry 13 Erie wasn't the gem that I think it is for you, but I wasn't too sure. I couldn't remember what you thought of this one, Chris. But
I also do want to say real quick before we do rate it, if you have the ability to pick the movie up on Vudu, I am looking very quickly on my phone. It does not, that digital version does not appear to have the issues that you experience. At least on my phone, I'm not seeing any shuddering or any weird camera movements. So that might be exclusive. Those might be older versions on there. I'm not sure, but again, I'm looking at this on my phone. It looks perfectly fine. The camera's moving. Everything looks okay. So Jimmy just, or the bully guy just got his throat ripped out and everybody is in focus and everything.
Yeah, it was bad. And the worst was in the opening scene actually too. So
Yeah.
All right,
I,
good to
I
know.
believe the DVD too is still, at least I see it used a lot. If you still have like a Second and Charles or something near you,
What's weird about this one too is that there's no Blu-ray even overseas. Like usually someone somewhere got a Blu-ray of it, and they didn't even get, because Huff's got a Blu-ray in the UK, and a couple of those After Dark ones got Blu-rays overseas, Germany, UK, whatever. This one still is just kind of flopping around on DVD, and out of this group of the Ghost House movies, I believe this one was the best reviewed. Not the most successful, at least the best reviewed one. Like it was the one that everyone really seemed to universally enjoy, and all kind of agreed this should have been released on its own. This actually, people were saying at the time their big mistake was not putting it at least in theaters for a while, because I think people would have responded to it. But
you guys are making me feel like I need to watch the other version, like the one that's normal now, and give it another shot.
It's pre-Walking Dead, you know, no zombie burnout at that point. I think it might have surprised people, and it's low budget, but I think they do big things with the low budget.
Yeah,
I really
well they did a 15th anniversary screening of it, as I recall, last year, and I in LA, and I want to say like it sold out. I think it was a deal where it was like the director and a few people came out, and because I remember him posting pictures and saying like, yeah, you know, the crowd was really into it. It still hit in all the same spots that he wanted it to, and people still laughed at the jokes. They still laughed at, you know, and reacted to the things accordingly that they were supposed to react to. So, I mean, yeah, this is a perfectly fine, fun zombie movie. I mean, I like this one a lot.
All right.
Well, on that note, let's rate it. And I guess, I get to go first today. I'm in the middle. Like I think it's average, and I'm willing to give it another shot. You guys have actually talked it up, so maybe I do need to watch it in a better viewing experience. But
Enhanced.
I'm a 2.5 for net. Yeah, I'm 2.5. It's in the middle for me. It's average right now. Dan?
You know what? I'm gonna give this one a 4. I love this one.
Pugs?
I'm giving it a 4 as well, out of 5.
Chris?
I'm with Pugs and Dan. I'm giving it a 4.
All right. Well,
people.
on that note, I think this is going to be interesting. I'm voting off Dance of the Dead, obviously. Dan, what are you voting off?
Okay, so we have.
Sorry, I didn't go over the list.
Yeah,
we have Lucio Fulci Zombie. We have Return of the Living Dead.
Wow.
Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, and Dance of the Dead. I've already picked Dance of the Dead as my vote. Dan, what are you voting off?
This is just a shitty draw for this movie. I gotta vote out.
Okay, not this.
No, I gotta vote out Dance of the Dead.
All right, it shouldn't have been that hard. Pugs?
Return of the Living Dead. Bam.
Chris?
Well, no, I mean, I know that. And well, it does matter.
You could tie it up.
I could throw a wrench in there, but you know I'm not going to. But I do want, and there's a reason for that, because I just spent the last like 15, 20 minutes, how long we've been talking about this, talking this movie up and saying how great it is. But I'm a firm believer that this movie wouldn't exist without Return of the Living Dead. So because of that, I am voting off Dance of the Dead, because there is a lot of influence. And again, with a couple of tweaks to the script, this could have been an entry in the Return of the Living Dead franchise, and nobody would have thought anything of it. And it would have been, frankly, a better entry than what we ended up with 4 and 5. So to me, this is canon. This is Return of the Living Dead. This is the real Return of the Living Dead 4. So
we might have been on Return of the Living Dead 10 by now if this had come out instead of
to the grave.
Necropolis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, Dance of the Dead has been eliminated.
Sorry, Greg.
But it's got high.
Shame on you.
Hey, I'm glad we got the highlight.
You know,
I'm glad we got to highlight it.
Yeah, no, and I definitely think again it's one people should if you haven't seen it and evidently don't watch it on Tubi or Amazon if you have a
Freezy, that's what it was.
but yeah, Freevee if you have a Vudu account. I don't know if it's
No,
available.
it was directly on Prime too. No, this was the Prime transfer that was.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
if it's
I
an
saw it
older
on
version or
Freezy.
this one's a newer version and that's the problem. I don't know because I mean something wasn't transferred properly, but yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. It's one that flew under the radar and shouldn't have. So,
Yes.
All right.
All
On that
right.
note, Dan.
All right, guys. Good night and stay tuned. We got some heavy hitters still coming. So
Yeah.
good night.
All right. Good. Money's on the dresser. Chris.
Pugs, get back in traffic.
I'll see you in Disneyland.